Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling strangely guilty, and you can't even explain why? Or trusted someone who seemed amazing at first, only to realize months later you were being manipulated the whole time? That's not just bad luck or poor judgment. That's dark psychology, the subtle, often invisible tactics people use to control, influence, and even destroy your sense of self without you ever realizing it. And here's the scariest part. These tactics aren't rare. They're everywhere. In relationships, in marketing, in leadership. Sometimes even within your own circle of friends and family. Dark psychology isn't about magic or hypnosis. It's about understanding how the human mind can be turned against itself, and how people with the wrong intentions can weaponize our deepest psychological instincts. If you don't learn to recognize it, you're vulnerable. But once you see it clearly, you'll never fall for it again. Dark psychology is the art of using psychological principles to deceive, manipulate, or control others for personal gain, power, or emotional satisfaction. It's not always loud or dramatic. In fact, it usually hides behind charm, politeness, and connection. It's the fake friend who always finds a way to make you feel like the problem, the boss who keeps you chasing approval, the partner who plays victim to avoid accountability. These aren't obvious villains, they're experts at staying hidden, at making you second-guess yourself, at creating a version of reality that benefits them and slowly breaks you. At its core, dark psychology is about one thing: control. And control often starts with influence. But influence isn't always bad, right? A good teacher influences their students. A leader inspires a team. Influence only becomes dark when it strips away your agency, when it starts making you question your worth, your memories, or your ability to trust your gut. And that's what makes it so dangerous. It can feel like love, or support, or even mentorship, until you realize you were never in control. Let's break down the most common tools manipulators use and how to spot them. The first is gaslighting. It's not just lying. It's systematically making you doubt your own perception. Imagine saying, "You yelled at me yesterday," and hearing, "That never happened. You're imagining things." It's subtle, but over time it makes you believe that you are the problem, that your mind can't be trusted. Next is love bombing. It's intense affection, praise, and attention, all at once. You're flooded with validation, made to feel like you found something magical. But once you're hooked, it flips. The attention disappears, and you'll do anything to get it back. That's when control begins. Third is guilt tripping. The manipulator positions themselves as the victim. So if you say no, you're cold. If you set boundaries, you're selfish. They twist your kindness into a weapon against you. Suddenly, you're apologizing for things you didn't do. Fourth, triangulation. They bring in a third person, real or imaginary, to create competition or insecurity. Well, she never complains when I'm busy. Other people think you're overreacting. You're isolated, made to feel like the difficult one, so you try harder to prove yourself. It's a trap. And lastly, future faking. This one's big in toxic relationships. They paint a perfect picture of the future: plans, dreams, marriage, success. But it's just talk. It's not real. It's a bait to keep you emotionally invested while they avoid real commitment or change. Each of these tactics chips away at your sense of reality, your self-worth, and your ability to walk away. But here's the catch. These tactics often work best on people who are empathetic, loyal, and emotionally open. The very traits that make you a good person can be exploited if you don't know the game. So, how do you protect yourself? It starts with awareness. Once you can name the manipulation, it loses its power. When someone tries to gaslight you and you respond, "Actually, I remember that very clearly," you take your mind back. You stop playing defense and start seeing the pattern. Second, learn to trust your discomfort. If something feels off, even if you can't explain it, it usually is. Manipulators rely on your self-doubt. So when your gut says, "This doesn't feel right," pause. Ask yourself, what would I think about this situation if it were happening to my best friend? Third, create emotional boundaries. Just because someone's upset doesn't mean it's your job to fix it. If someone constantly blames you for their emotions, step back. You're not a sponge for someone else's chaos. And most importantly, don't engage in power games. Manipulators thrive on emotional reaction. If you pull away, they'll push harder. They might get louder, guiltier, sweeter. But that's the trap. When you see it, don't argue, don't explain, just hold your line. Because the moment you stop playing their game, they lose their grip. And remember, dark psychology only works if it stays unseen. When you shine a light on it, it shrinks. It can't survive in clarity. The most valuable real estate in the world isn't money, gold, or property. It's your mind. That's your first home, your fortress, your space to dream, feel, reflect, and grow. And if someone's trying to plant confusion, fear, or guilt inside that space, they don't deserve access to it. You don't have to become paranoid or cold, but you do need to stay awake, to know that not everyone operates from love, even if they speak like they do. There's a line between empathy and self-sacrifice, between kindness and self-erasure. You are allowed to walk away from anyone who makes you doubt your value, even if they once made you feel special. That's not cruelty, that's protection, and you owe yourself that. If this episode opened your eyes, you're not alone. A lot of smart, kind, good-hearted people fall into manipulation. Not because they're weak, but because no one taught them how to protect their mind. That's why in the next video, we're diving deeper into emotional boundaries and how to rebuild trust after manipulation. If you've ever felt broken, stuck, or unsure of yourself, it's going to help you start over. So hit subscribe, and more importantly, hit reset on anyone who's been playing games with your head, because your mind deserves peace, and your power starts with awareness.